Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be walking us through the process that I do when I do interviews, essentially. Now, disclaimer, I recently did an algae peel where my skin was peeling like a snake. So if you see dry skin or if you see dry patches or even sometimes just dark spots because my skin is still peeling, I'm not able to moisturize, I can't wear any makeup, that is what's going on. I just wanted to put that out there, but I really want to make this video today since it's not often that I do interviews, and I wanted to share with you what that process looks like since I haven't done that thus far. So, in regards to interviewing, I do have 4 interviews set up today. I am looking to hire 1 or 2 therapists. I'm thinking of hiring maybe just one more based on kind of what the needs of the clinic are at the moment. Now, I will definitely have to be updating some of the questions on my interview sheet document that I have because I've recognized as I've been in this role and as I've worked with the therapists that I've hired on my team, there are certain things that I feel would have been beneficial for me to know prior to um, certain challenges that we may have experienced within the clinic or whatever that looks like, whatever concern has come up. And so now that I'm aware of it, I can apply it to my interviews moving forward, and I will be removing some old questions that I have as well that I don't feel is necessarily as applicable. One thing that I also think is super important is the connection that I have with the people that I'm interviewing. Are we vibing? Do I feel your energy? Do I feel your support? What does your tone of voice sound like? Is this something that I think would be beneficial for our clients? Do I feel like our clients will be receptive to the energy that you're giving off? And so, again, we're doing this all through screen. And so, it's even more important to ensure that your energy is right when you're doing that interview because you do have to put a bit more effort in video therapy, doing therapy online for your clients to actually feel that energy. It's not the same as in person therapy. Um, so I think that's super important. In addition to that, although I get a lot of resumes, I don't interview everyone. And so if you are actually interested in knowing what resumes I move forward with and what other resumes I kind of check to the side, comment below and let me know, and I could potentially do a separate video on the do's and don'ts of interviewing or resumes for therapists. Comment below. Let me know if you're interested in that. Outside of that, I am looking forward to the interviews today, but something that makes me nervous is sometimes I feel like I do need to make my pre screening process a bit more strict. I do screen the resumes and then I narrow down the list, I send it to my admin, and then she goes through a series of pre screening questions with these candidates. And then from that, it determines who I decide to move forward with um, on like to actually have an interview because again I can't interview everyone. Interviews are time consuming, and so I want to make the pool as small as possible, and so we sift through them. However, sometimes I still find that someone might slip through the cracks and I'm in the interview and I'm like, I know this will not be a good fit, or qualifications don't necessarily match what's on the resume, and so I feel like I need to be stronger or more strict again with my pre-screening process to avoid all of these disruptions and avoid kind of using my time in a way that is not the most efficient for myself. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So follow along today as we kind of go ahead and do these interviews. I do have other meetings scheduled today, but I'm just going to focus this one on the interview process and what that looks like. Hopefully y'all enjoy. Okay, so I am just looking over the template. So I always have an interview template. It is so helpful when you have a group practice to just have templates, even in your own solo practice, to just have templates of things that you're going to be doing over and over and over and over again. So I have a template, and just browsing these questions, there are quite a few questions. I do tend to skip some depending on how the interview goes. I actually don't know if I want to remove any of these questions at this point, but there are some questions that I'm going to add, and so I thought I would share some of those questions with you. I think it's important for people to know how to create treatment plans. As therapists, we need to know how to create treatment plans that are based on the needs of our therapists, or based on the needs of our clients, sorry. So one question is to walk me through the process of creating a treatment plan. Walk me through the process of a treatment plan you've created for a client and the reason you used that treatment plan. How did everything turn out? So I want to know what that process looked like. Take me from point A to Z and tell me if it worked out or if it didn't, or if you had to adjust, or whatever that looks like. And I want to see what their thought process is, why they use specific therapeutic modalities to support specific clients, all those kind of things. And as they speak, more questions may come up, or I might just accept their answer based on how detailed it is. Also, I recognize that in practice, having contractors, not everyone is very organized, right? And so I think that's super important to ensure that everything is streamlined, to ensure that we don't miss appointments with clients, especially if you're juggling more than one practice that you're working at, all that kind of stuff. And so I do certain things in my practice to ensure that we can be as, together as possible, but sometimes certain things fall through the cracks. Depending on, again, how a therapist chooses to manage their time or keep organized or handle like stressful situations that might come up and navigating that. And so I think, how do you keep organized? And another question, how do you handle stressful situations, is very important for me to know at this point of hiring. Now, in terms of questions that I am keeping on my interview template, I guess one that I would choose to let you guys know of right now, and let me know, comment below. Again, there's so many video ideas coming to my mind as I'm speaking. Let me know if you want me to go through a series of questions that, one, you can ask, that interview questions that clinics might ask you. And two, let me know if you're interested in getting interview questions that it would be helpful for you to know as a therapist, as an interviewee, to ask the company that you are trying to work for. Comment below, let me know which one you want. If you want both, let me know as well. But in terms of questions that I do have here on my current thing is, again, cultural competence is super important for me in my clinic. Being able to understand being able to support our clients, because we do have a lot of culturally diverse clients that come in to our practice, regardless of community, regardless of background, regardless of how people may choose to identify. We have a very diverse clientele. And so I want to make sure that our team members is able to be responsive to cultural needs of our clients as they come up. And so I would like for them to describe what it means to work from a culturally inclusive lens, and what experience they have actually working with that approach. Because we can describe it in theory, but if I don't have an example of how you've actually applied it, again, that might deter how we move forward, because, again, that is one of the pillars of my company. And the other question that I think is important, there's a lot of questions here that I think is important. But something that, again, you guys might benefit from is how do you structure your first 4 sessions with a new client? I think that's a great question, because it really just lets me understand their process, and also understand how they might explain that to a client, which could either help with retention, could help with the client's ability to understand what the process looks like, to help the client feel a bit more safe and comfortable moving forward because they understand what to expect, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that question is very important, but again, I'm always open to doing a more detailed video about questions I might ask and potential answers I'm looking for. But yes, if you have not already, make sure you subscribe, because we are coming out with the videos. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you kind of like this content, where I'm literally just walking you through another process of growing a group practice. I don't want to just focus on this group practice. I still want to speak to those of you who've supported me, again, from the beginning when I started to show my journey. I know a lot of y'all are currently in the space of either still completing your undergraduate or your master's program, or going into the practicum process, or you've already completed that process and now you're going out into the real world and trying to find your own job. So I want to see if I can appease as many of you as possible. So please, if you have specific questions, comment them below, and so I can tailor my videos to support the audience. All right, so now that I have updated my interview template, I'm literally just going to copy and paste this template for each individual that I will be interviewing today. So they have their own document, and I will store it under their file. And so let's say that we hire them, we have a client file, we have a therapist file where we will input all of their information that we have on file for them, whether that means their who they're registered with, who their insurance is with, all that kind of stuff. We have a file created for them which will follow them along throughout their whole process working with us. And I think it's also important to keep files, even if I don't necessarily hire them on this time around. I think it's important to keep their records on file for a certain time period, because maybe it's like, hey, you weren't a good fit right now, but maybe later down the line you might be. I will reach out instead of doing interviews all over again. Or sometimes it's helpful to keep it on file because down the line I might send out an application again, and I might forget the person's name because a lot of people do have very similar names. I might forget the person's name, and I could check, hey, have I already interviewed this person? Yes, no, what was the reason for me not moving forward with them? So just like, again, another way for me to save time, because I recognize that when you have a group practice, time is so valuable in general in life. Just time is super valuable. So wanted to share that, and now I am going to prep. I actually have a session today. I'm going to prep for one of my client sessions, but I said I would focus on just the interview process today. So I'm going to prep for that session, and then I'm going to actually hop into the interviews. All right? Talk to y'all soon. The sun is kind of deceiving. Looks so beautiful outside today. But it is kind of chilly. But I decided to go out for a walk after completing my prep for my client sessions. And I thought, you know what, let me just talk to y'all a bit, because it's been a while since we've caught up. I know I gave like a lengthy video last time, but I didn't really talk about like how it feels to now not only be a therapist, but also a group practice owner. And I would say it comes with a lot of challenges. And I think I want to do a completely separate video on this, but I really had to grow a lot in the past year. It's taken a lot out of me emotionally, in terms of just navigating challenges, building a group practice from scratch, figuring out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And something that I've noticed with myself that I don't notice in other spaces is that I'm a people pleaser. Like, y'all, I am a grown adult, okay? I've been a grown adult for a while. I've been in this practice for a while. And to discover that I am a people pleaser when it comes to being a boss is very interesting to me, and very new. And so I'm definitely going to be bringing this up to my therapist, to like work through and talk through like why that is and why this is showing up in this space. And part of me recognizes that I do want to make everyone happy. I know I've had reasons why I've left previous companies. I've never worked in like a group practice for another therapist. I've always worked in community service before doing my own practice. But I guess I always just want to make sure that people feel their happiest in their position working on my team, and I want everyone to feel supported. And I guess as I do this more and more, I recognize that it's difficult to appease everyone. Again, everyone, I have a team who is as young as their mid-20s all the way to their mid-40s. Some have no kids, some are completely fresh to the game, and some have been in the game for a while. Some are new to the game and are older. This is like their second or third career. Like, so there's just so many things that people want, and I have to think not only as like, is this beneficial for our clients, but also is this beneficial for my practice in terms of sustainability? And I recognize that a lot of the therapists, not a lot of therapists, I'm actually like generalizing. I just recognize that I'm the only one who has that oversight of everything that I have to juggle in the practice. And the therapists don't necessarily have that same oversight to understand everything that's happening behind the scenes. So something that I would encourage you to do is, I would never jump straight into having a group practice, especially coming out of school. I would suggest that you reflect for yourself, what is your goal of growing as a therapist? What are your reasons behind it? Because I honestly wanted to grow a group practice for many reasons. And as I'm going through this experience, sometimes I do question, to be honest, like, is this the direction that I want to continue going in? And so I love it. I love some parts of it. And so I'm trying not to run away from things when things may feel like really, really hard, because there have been many instances where things have felt really, really hard. And if you guys watch my older videos where I was just working for myself, I was just so chill, so relaxed. I didn't have to think about my business outside of like when I was actually in my sessions or doing my case notes. But now, like, I am always on as a group practice owner. And although like I do have some more free time, my brain is mentally on. So I am currently trying to, again, navigate that space. And it's one of the reasons why I thought, you know what, I need to come back to YouTube, because I just need something that brings a level of like just joy, fun, creativity, instead of always being in a space of like heavy work, such as like managing business, doing therapy, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share that tidbit. And I encourage you to reflect on your reasons why you want to grow as a therapist and which way you want to grow as a therapist, whether that's doing group coaching, whether that's going into a group practice, whether that's growing your own group practice, having your own solo practice. What is it that you want? And really reflect on that before kind of jumping in and making decisions. Your girl has spent lots and lots and lots of money in this business. And I've loved a lot of parts of this experience. And I've also not had the best feelings with some parts of this experience. And that's just the honest truth. And that's okay. I think this is part of me growing, learning. I am so grateful for the experiences and the learning, the lots of learning, the emotion regulation that has to go on, all that kind of stuff that comes with this role. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that. And if you guys want a more deep sit down video talking about this and like my experiences, the pros and cons of having group practice, comment below, let me know. Y'all, I'm excited to be back. So thank you for always watching. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you guys continue to come back. When I get back home from my walk, I'm going to go straight into an interview. I think I have 2 back-to-back. So once I do that, I will kind of reflect on how that process was with you guys, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. I'll see y'all soon. I love the systems that we have in my practice. It's honestly, it just makes things so much easier. So I am going meetings. So it's actually 1 minute after and the person's still not in. So again, tardiness is important because that shows if, okay, I gotta go. Okay, so I just did 2 interviews. One was way shorter. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I know pretty early on if this person will fit within the clinic and the clinic expectations and within the team or not. Sometimes there's certain language, like you guys have to be very mindful of the language that you use when in your interview. And I understand nerves could get in the way, but just be mindful of the language you use, because it could really just deter session, because it's like, hey, if this is how we're speaking in this specific situation, imagine what they're saying to a client. And again, I understand nerves. And so it's not like I hear one thing and I'm like, okay, this is a write off. It's like, how are we going throughout this process? And usually by the end of the interview, someone's gonna feel more relaxed. I'm a very chill person. As I mentioned to y'all earlier, I feel like I recognize I'm a people pleaser in this sense. But now I got boss mode hat on. I'm like, I'm not playing no more. But anyways, what I was trying to say is that throughout the interview process, people feel more relaxed. Like I know, and I've heard this consistently, that I have like a very calming sense about me, and like just the way I put people at ease. And so I do try to do that in the interview as well, because I don't want anyone to be intimidated by me. I want them to feel comfortable. I'm the person that they would be directly reporting to, in the sense that I'm the clinical director and the founder of the company. So I do want us to have like a good relationship, and I'm not trying to intimidate you. So again, nerves do come down by the end of the interview. Um, but yeah, so I feel very good about one candidate so far. I know for a fact I'm not going with the other candidate. And I have a couple more to do and a session, but I just want to give you an update. That's where I'm at. I ended one of the interviews fairly early because I knew. And yeah, something that I also think is important: if you have a group practice, get references. Get references and make sure you hear back from those references. If you don't hear back from those references, I don't know. I would say at least get 2 references, and those references have to have understanding of people's clinical experience, the people that you're hiring, their clinical experience, and just their ability to work in a team setting if you have a group practice. 2 very important things. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick break, grab something to eat, and then I will check in, I guess, at the end of the interviews and let you guys know where my head's at. So, note to self: don't ever pack my day up like this again. I haven't packed my day like this in such a long time. And I don't know why I thought it would be different with interviews, but interviews are just as draining. So I don't want to keep this video too long. So I'm essentially going to wrap it up. I just finished my interviews, some thoughts. Some interviews went better than others. And I feel like there's just so much information I could give around do's and don'ts of doing an interview. The more I see it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay. There are some like really great things. And I think interviews are also great for me as a therapist, because I learn a lot from other therapists as well, sometimes in these interviews. And I'm always just open to learning and getting different ideas and ways of how people do things and how they navigate. I think it's just very insightful information. And that is something that I get to learn as I interview more and more therapists. So I think I have another interview tomorrow, and I might set up some other interviews for next week. Not 100% sure. My admin, she recently just did a pre-screen on a few more candidates. I've closed the job posting, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm exhausted. I do have another very vital, important meeting that's happening at the end of the day. I've had to go back and forth a lot with my lawyer for this past week. Yo, lawyer fees, guys, lawyer fees. God damn. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap up the video. Thank you for joining me in today's video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.